When you write objectives, they should be smart. So let me explain what they are and how you can write them. The letters in the word SMART describe how objectives should be written. S stands for specific. You want your objective to be as specific as possible. M stands for measurable. How will you measure the outcome? Is your objective measurable? A is for attainable. Is your objective achievable? Will you be able to achieve the results that you want from the objective that you've written? R stands for relevant. Is your objective relevant to the situation that you are working on? In this case, for this video, I'm making it for my class. So is your objective relevant to the subject in the class? And then T stands for timely. Can you achieve your objective in the time frame within a semester or a year or a month? So whatever you're trying to achieve in whatever given period that you're giving yourself, will you be able to achieve that objective within that time? Here are a few tips for writing objectives. First, you want to choose a measurable action verb. Not all verbs are measurable, so I'll give you some examples in a few moments. The next tip is to define the subject that is achieving the objective. So for the lesson plan, you will start with the child will. The child will demonstrate, or the child will, whatever action verb that you're going to choose. Then the third tip is to describe the objective to be achieved. So it's not just subject and verb, but what are they demonstrating, or what are they counting, or what are they doing? So let me show you some action verbs that can be measured. So here are some verbs that have been used in writing objectives. So I want you to look at them and then to find out which ones are not measurable action words. There are 4 of them. So spend a few moments looking at it and thinking which words are not measurable. If you chose the words learn, understand, recognize, and know, then you are correct. Now you may be surprised because these words have been used in objectives before, but my challenge is to ask you, how can you measure these verbs? So for example, let's talk about the word learn. How can you tell if a child is learning something in class? If he is sitting during circle time or in a classroom, does that mean he's learning the subject? Maybe. If he's looking at you and paying attention, does that mean that he's learned? Again, maybe. But how can you tell? How would you measure his learning? Well, maybe you might say, well, if he answers certain questions correctly, well then the objective can be the child will correctly answer 5 of the 6 questions. And so that would be more measurable. By him answering the question, then you can hear his answer and know whether or not he is learning. Let me show you some examples of different objectives that you can write and how it can be better. So in this example, an okay one, this is a common one, we all try to exercise more. So an okay objective, you would just write, I will exercise in 2020. Well, if you just take that walk around the block, you've achieved your objective. Congratulations. So a better one, if you want to exercise more and make it more frequent, is say, I will exercise 3 times a week in 2020. That is better. You've defined that 3 times a week you're gonna exercise. But what type of exercise? Like if you do 1 sit-up on Monday and 2 push-ups on Wednesday, and you walked around the block on Saturday, you again have achieved your objective. The best one is if you clearly define what you mean by the type of exercise that you want to achieve. So my example is I will do 30 minutes of cardio at least 4 times a week and 20 minutes of yoga 2 times a week in 2020. And that is very specific. It is measurable because then you can check it off or just know, okay, I've done my cardio 4 times a week. And then it's achievable because you know that you can do this, and it's relevant to your goal, and it's timely because you've defined the time frame that you will want to do this on a weekly basis. So let me show you specific examples for music and movement. So the first one is the child will demonstrate 3 different ways to play the rhythm sticks. A second example, the child will identify 2 different colors using scarves. And then a third one is the child will demonstrate how to jump, hop, and skip. All 3 of these examples are SMART. So take a look at these 2 objectives and decide which one is the SMART objective. The child will identify 2 types of instruments used during music play, or the child will participate during circle time. If you chose the first one, the child will identify 2 types of instruments used during music play, you are correct. This objective is specific, identifying 2 types of instruments. It is measurable. You can tell by looking if he's identifying and if 2 types of instruments and also listening to his identification. And it's achievable. It's definitely relevant to the music and movement curriculum. And it is timely, that during music play, that's when you want the child to achieve this objective. Here are 3 objectives that need to be revised in order for them to be SMART. So how would you revise each of these? The first one is the child will learn how to count, the child will enjoy listening to music, and the child will be able to know a song. None of these are SMART right now, but what would you do to change it? Take a few moments, pause the tape, and then you can unpause when you're ready to see some examples of how I made these SMART. So here's how I revise the objectives. There's going to be many different ways that you can revise them to make them SMART, but here are some examples of how they can be made SMART. So the first one, the child will learn to count. Remember, learn is not measurable. So the word I would use is count. The child will count 10 objects. You'll clearly be able to see and hear the child counting 10 objects. The second one, the child will enjoy listening to music. The word enjoy is, you can't really measure that verb either. So I change that to the child will follow the teacher's dance moves, because then you can watch the child and see if he's following the teacher's dance moves. The last objective, the child will be able to know a song. I honestly don't even know if we'll be able to know a song, what that means, but I changed that to the child will sing the words to 5 Little Ducks. That way you can hear him sing the words and know whether or not he has learned the song. So I hope that the examples and the explanations in this video has helped you learn how to write SMART objectives for your classroom and also for yourself.